Every success story, whether it's a groundbreaking invention, a business empire, or a personal transformation, begins not in the external world, but deep within the mind of an individual. Before there is applause, before there is evidence, before there is even belief from others, there is a thought, a vision, and most importantly, a purpose. Without that, we are mental drifters. With it, we become creators. Napoleon Hill called it definiteness of purpose. It is not a wish nor a vague hope. It is the clear, burning idea that you are here to do something specific. And once that idea takes hold in the mind, it begins to organize thought, attract opportunity, and summon energy from places within you that you didn't even know exist. When people say, I want to be successful, the question that follows should always be successful at what and why. The world does not reward general ambition. It rewards focused intent. A definite purpose gives your thoughts a gravitational pull. It draws related ideas, matching people and necessary circumstances into your orbit. Without it, thoughts scatter like dust in the wind, many but ineffective. This is not just philosophy, it's psychology. The mind left to its own devices is easily distracted, reactive, and shaped by the noise of the world. But when you give it a specific aim, you activate the reticular activating system, the mental filter that begins to notice what aligns with your goal suddenly. The book you ignored yesterday feels important. The conversation you overheard becomes relevant. The opportunity you almost missed now demands your attention. Why? Because the mind, like a compass, finally has a direction. And once that direction is fixed, your actions begin to reflect it. You begin to think with purpose, speak with purpose, move with purpose. Time no longer feels like something you're killing, it becomes a resource you're investing. Doubts still arise, but they lose power. Obstacles still appear, but they don't stop you, because when your mind holds firmly to a clear destination, the path may twist, but the journey continues. Hill often emphasized that those who fail to set a definite purpose are often used by those who have one. In other words, if you don't decide where you're going, someone else will gladly assign you a role in their story. You'll be paid for your time, but not rewarded for your vision, because you didn't choose one. That's a tragic waste of potential. We all have that quiet voice inside that suggests we are meant for something more. That's not arrogance, it's intuition, but intuition needs direction, and direction requires decision. You must choose your aim. Write it down and hold it in your mind with clarity and repetition. This isn't just about success, it's about living consciously. Without purpose, life becomes a series of random events. With purpose, it becomes a deliberate journey. And here's a beautiful paradox. The moment you define your purpose, the world begins to bend subtly in your favor. Not always immediately, not always obviously, but gradually, and then rapidly, because a mind anchored in purpose becomes a magnet to opportunity and a force against resistance. If you're still searching for your purpose, don't wait for the perfect one. Choose something meaningful enough to move you, then commit. The clarity will deepen as you act. The mountain reveals itself not at the bottom, but as you begin to climb. So if you want to change your future, begin by changing the direction of your thoughts. Choose your purpose and then let every thought, every step, every hour serve it. The first step to outward success is always inward clarity, because in the end, success isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you build first in the mind, then in the world. Once the mind has been given a definite purpose, it must be fortified by belief, not ordinary belief, not surface level optimism, but a belief so rooted in conviction that even when circumstances scream, otherwise you stand unmoved. Napoleon Hill made one truth unshakably clear: whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But let's not mistake this for shallow, wishful thinking. Belief is not fantasy. It is a mental state created through discipline, understanding, and repetition. It is earned. The reason most people never realize their potential isn't because they lack intelligence, talent, or opportunity. It's because they never truly believe that they can. Their subconscious mind, conditioned by failure, by criticism, by fear, silently whispers you're not enough. And so when an opportunity arises, they doubt. When a risk appears, they retreat. Not because they can't move forward, but because belief has never been properly installed in the mental blueprint. Here's something few realize: your outer reality is always a mirror of your inner beliefs. If you see chaos, it often reflects internal confusion. If you live in scarcity, chances are your mind is programmed with limitation. You cannot outperform the boundaries of your own beliefs. A person who believes success is for others, richer people, smarter people, lucky people, will always subconsciously sabotage themselves, not because the opportunity isn't real, but because their mind filters it out. Their belief system edits reality to fit their expectations. Hill wasn't suggesting magic when he said belief makes things possible. He was talking about mental cause and effect. Belief changes how you interpret obstacles. It alters how you respond to failure. It dictates how long you persist. That's why belief isn't something you wait for. It's something you train. Just like you would train a muscle: repetition, visualization, affirmation. These are not motivational tricks. They are tools of psychological engineering. The mind accepts repeated thought as truth. Say it enough, visualize it enough, feel it enough, and eventually the subconscious accepts it as fact. From that point on, your actions begin to align with a new internal narrative. But let's go deeper. Why is belief so powerful? Because belief shapes identity, and identity shapes behavior. When you believe you are a leader, you begin to act like one. When you believe you are resilient, you stop fearing setbacks. When you believe you're capable of greatness, your standards rise, and in time, your environment catches up to reflect this new standard. This is not ego, it is alignment. You stop living in contradiction with your potential. And yes, belief must be tested. Life will challenge it, circumstances will push against it. But this is not a sign to retreat. It is an invitation to deepen the conviction, because the very resistance you face is what strengthens belief. If you push through, just as the blade is sharpened by friction, your mental certainty is forged in the fire of adversity. If belief comes easy, it won't hold. But if belief is earned, nothing can shake it. So when people ask, how do I start believing in myself? The answer is simple but not easy. You decide to, then you affirm it. Daily you speak it even when your voice shakes, and you act in alignment with it even when your knees do too. You fake nothing. You build something, one thought, one repetition, one decision at a time. Remember this: the mind is fertile ground. What you plant will grow. Plant doubt and you will harvest hesitation, but plant belief, water it with action, and protect it with discipline, and your results will bloom in time. Because belief isn't a reaction to evidence, it's the cause of it. Build belief, and the world begins to respond in kind. Now, belief alone, while vital, is not enough. It's the spark. Yes, but a spark without fuel dies quickly. The mind must be backed by decisive, sustained action. This is where most fall short. They believe, they dream, they plan, and then they wait. They wait for permission, for signs, for the perfect moment that never arrives. Napoleon Hill was unequivocal in his message: action is the bridge between thought and reality. Without it, belief remains potential, not power. What holds most people back is not a lack of resources, but a lack of movement. Paralysis by analysis is the silent killer of potential. The mind thinks, then thinks again, then doubts, then hesitates. And in that hesitation, momentum is lost. What Hill understood, and what too many overlook, is that clarity often comes through action, not before it. The path doesn't have to be fully lit for you to take the first step. Action illuminates what belief begins. There's a psychological law at play here. The more you act, the more your subconscious registers progress. That sense of progress, however small, fuels confidence. Confidence leads to more action, and the loop continues. It's a self-reinforcing system, but only if it starts. Inaction, on the other hand, breeds doubt. Doubt weakens belief, and belief without reinforcement collapses under pressure. That's why it's not the smartest people who always succeed, but those who act in alignment with a belief they refuse to abandon. Let's make this real. Think about a time you hesitated when you knew what needed to be done, but let fear stall you. What changed the moment you finally acted? Maybe the fear didn't disappear, but your relationship to it did. You stepped forward in spite of it. And that small act of courage rewired your understanding of what's possible. That's the power of action. It redefines the boundaries of belief. Hill spoke often about the importance of decision. He noted that successful people make decisions quickly and change them slowly, while failures do the opposite. Why? Because decision breeds commitment. And commitment signals to the mind and to the universe that you are no longer entertaining doubt. You've chosen a direction and you are moving. It's not blind impulsiveness, it's deliberate action born from clear intention. But action must be consistent. It's not enough to act once and expect results. One day of effort cannot compensate for months of hesitation. Success is cumulative. Each small, disciplined act builds upon the last, stacking layer upon layer until what once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. This is not motivational fluff. It's neurological reality. The brain is wired to favor repetition. Habits form not by force, but by consistency. This is where belief again supports action. When you believe that your actions matter, that they compound, that they are reshaping your identity and destiny, you are more likely to persist, even when results aren't immediate, especially then, because belief sees beyond the moment. It anchors you to the vision, and action, no matter how small, honors that vision. So the question is not, can I do it, but will I move? Will I take the first step before I'm ready? Trust the process before I understand every detail, and persist when no one else is watching, because success is not a lightning strike. It is the quiet rhythm of focused effort repeated day after day. In the end, remember this: action transforms belief into experience. Experience shapes identity, and identity carves destiny. So move not perfectly, but purposefully, because movement is proof that belief is alive. Every success story, whether quiet or grand, is built upon one final and indispensable quality: persistence. You may believe with all your heart, you may act with conviction, but if you do not persist, if you do not continue when results are delayed, when the path becomes unclear, when the world seems indifferent, then your belief and your action will wither in the face of resistance. Napoleon Hill emphasized this more than most principles. He knew that the dream is never achieved by the one who tries, pauses, and moves on. It is secured by the one who decides once and never looks back. Persistence is not about force, it's about faith. It's the silent discipline of showing up, even when nothing around you confirms that your effort is working. It's believing that the work you are doing is not wasted, but woven into a future you cannot yet see. You see, we live in a world that worships speed, instant validation, quick wins. But the mind, your most powerful tool, was never designed for shortcuts. It thrives on reinforcement, on effort, repeated, and belief renewed. When you persist, you condition your subconscious to associate discomfort with growth rather than defeat. And once that association is made, the struggle becomes a signal to keep going, not to stop. There's a deep psychological transformation that happens in those who persist. You stop looking outward for permission. You stop comparing timelines. You learn to extract meaning from the process itself, not just the outcome. This is how the mind matures. This is how you move from being driven by results to being anchored in principle. Napoleon Hill wrote of the many men who gave up just 3 feet from gold. They had the tools, the belief, the initial courage, but they lacked the resolve to endure a little longer. And so, all the effort that could have transformed their lives turned to dust in retreat. Now, what's essential to understand is that persistence is not merely a matter of willpower. It's a system. You must build your life around your vision, surround yourself with people, habits, routines, and thoughts that reinforce where you're going, not where you've been. Every time you persist through discouragement, you train your mind to believe in your strength. That belief, forged through fire, becomes unshakable. It becomes your core identity, and it's not glamorous, it's often quiet. There are no applause breaks, no dramatic turning points. Persistence lives in early mornings and late nights, in conversations with yourself where you choose to believe, again when it would be easier not to. That's the real story behind every overnight success. 1,000 days of invisible labor. And yet, if you can master this, if you can understand that persistence is your commitment to the future version of yourself, You become unstoppable. Obstacles no longer discourage. They educate rejection, no longer wounds it redirects. Delays no longer discourage. They deepen your resilience. You start to see each challenge not as a wall, but as a weight meant to strengthen the mind that dares to lift it. So I leave you with this. Do not measure your progress by what has shown up in your life yet. Measure it by what has shown up in your character, because what you are building inside will always outlast what you are waiting for outside. And when your persistence becomes greater than your circumstances, destiny becomes a matter of time. Keep showing up, keep choosing the vision. That's where success begins and where it stays.